Hi, everyone. I'm Bev Adamo, Wild and Wise Women, Wild and Wise Sisterhood. And I'm here today with Stephanie Roman. Hi, Steph.
Hi,
I'm so excited to talk to you today.
I'm
And
excited to be here.
Stephanie, yes, Stephanie is one of our inspiring women authors who have joined Wild and Wise Women in this book collaborative that we've been doing. We started it in the 1st of November on U.S. National Authors Day. And was looking for 10 women to join us in this first book. Now, we're going to be doing more books. So, one of the reasons why we're doing these interviews with our authors is so that they can tell you firsthand what it's like to be involved in this process. And I also want you to be introduced to who they are because they are extraordinary women. And we will be back with interviews with all 10 authors with respect to their chapters. So today we're not going to talk so much about your work, Stephanie, in the book. What I would like to talk about today is who are you? And I know who you are, and I'm so excited for everybody else. So, talk a little bit about who you are and your business, what you do in the world. That would be extraordinary because you are such an amazing. Well, tell us.
I'm amazing.
You are.
I I am a TEDx motivational speaker and advocate for girls and women's unique beauty, as well as I own two companies. Well, actually, it's a passion project and a company. That's the Bald Barbie Army, which is my passion project. And my company is the Divine Intervention Readings, and I am a psychic.
Yes, you are. You're an extraordinary one. And I love being here and talking to you about this because I actually have personal experience of your, um, gosh, how do I even describe it? It's not about accuracy. It's more about really, what you have, the information that comes through you is accurate, and at the same time it's so powerful. There's such a powerful purpose to any information that's ever come through you that I've had been blessed with, so I so appreciate that. And how did you get to this place? What brought you here?
A lot. Without going to too many details, because that is a lot what my chapter is about,
Okay.
I went through a horrible divorce, and basically what led me to both places, because both of what I just mentioned, both my business and my passion project, they both come from the place of me trying to be someone else and
Mm.
trying to be normal for way too long. 28 years of trying to be Barbie. So looking like Barbie and putting everyone before myself and trying to be this nice, well-mannered woman of that I was raised to be. And I grew up Southern Baptist. So just all the things that come with that, just docile and meek and not putting myself first, not honoring my own feelings, to the point where I didn't even really know who I was.
Mm.
I suffered abuse from early on until my marriage. And when my husband finally gave me those divorce papers, my ex-husband, which I would have probably never done, maybe. Okay, I'm hearing yes. I probably would have, but it would have taken me longer to get there.
Mm.
I was really liberated. It was actually a tragedy during it, or it seemed like it, but from that came this amazing brilliance of being my own weirdo, which weird and weirdo are two of my favorite things. Most of the time when people hear those words, they think something negative, but each one of us is weird. So the more you stand in it,
Absolutely.
the happier your life is.
Absolutely. And thank you for saying that. It's so interesting. I love women, wild and wise women who are willing to embrace different concepts and
Mm.
not be afraid of words. So many times absolutely words do have power. And when we
Mm.
can take those words and say, you have power, not power over me, simply
Right.
power. And so we can access that. I love being weird. I love being a little bit crazy, you know, and like in the way that Steve Jobs always talked about being crazy, that, you know, thinking that I could actually make a difference in the world and being
Mhm.
crazy enough to, you know, to do it. So I
Mhm.
love that. And one of my favorite places that you know about is going to Austin. And it's one of the cities where it says like, keep Austin weird. So
Yes.
I just love that. And I also love the way you talk about how going through a tragedy, and it
Mhm.
felt like and really was in so many ways a tragedy at the time, and yet it was what brought you into your full purpose and your full
Mhm.
power and your full fire in what you're doing. That's amazing. Now
Thank
the gifts that you talk about in terms of being psychic, and I know that this is also what you teach, is you actually work with people to help them to access their own gifts. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
because as you and I both know, I have seen and know to be true that everyone is psychic. Now, the ways you get messages and the frequency in which you get messages, or even the amount of times that you have stopped or tried to stop or turned a blind eye to your own gifts, do
Mm,
make a difference in how each psychic looks. And that's why for a very long time, and this is what I find with the people that I work with as well, which is why of course I do what I do,
yes.
is, what I find is that when I tell people that I know that I can just tell, regardless of whether I was psychic and could tell it or not, when I tell people, wow, you're really psychic, they usually come back with, no, no, I'm not.
Uh-huh.
Because to most people, it's their normal. So it's not anything, although it can be something as dramatic as that you see in the horror movies, as visions and all of that. Usually what it begins with is just natural abilities that we do our whole life and don't know any differently.
Yes.
So that's why I'm so passionate about showing, almost holding what I always see and I'm seeing right now, is holding up the mirror to people and showing them what I see in them, to then allow them to see it in themselves, with proving to themselves, just the same way I did over and over and over with different exercises. It's almost like we have to prove to ourselves that we're magical, because for
Yeah.
all of this time we're told that doesn't exist, that doesn't exist. And so instead of looking at something where you're proving to yourself that you're not magical, like you have your entire life, probably there's some of people that are lucky enough out there to have not that situation, but most of us are taught we're not magic in that way.
Right.
I teach people by showing them little bit by little bit in different ways, remember, you are magical, you are
Mm.
magical, over and over.
I love, love, love that. That is so brilliant. And for those of you out there who are listening to this and you hear this and you say, "Whoa, you know, that's what I want to learn as well." So there's a couple of different ways to work with you. Stuff is that people can contact you for readings,
Right.
correct? So just
Yes.
the information itself. If you're looking for, you know, a conduit, a channel of someone who's very clear and gets amazing information and can pass that along to you. Steph, you're a great person as far as being that channel. And I also love that you do teach people how they can do this for themselves, how they can get those messages. They don't have to come necessarily through you, that
Absolutely.
they can just access them there. That's beautiful. I love that. And uh, different ways that they can work with you on that.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
I really find that the more that I do, that I hear the term psychic, the more that people are brought to me with all different ideas of what that word is. So
Right.
what I tell people is, it's just, I listen to God and I'm able to hear God in a different way than most people are. And when God gives you information that you need to know right now to remind you where you come from, why you're here and what
Yes.
you're here to do, there's no fear. There's nothing I'm not going to tell you anything scary, or there's just simply love and all that comes from that. So I also like that I'm embodying the word psychic to then be able to show people and have them run with what it is to really be psychic.
Oh, absolutely. That's gorgeous and beautiful. Thank you. And I am so excited that you said yes to this opportunity to be in this collaborative book. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about that. What was it about the invitation that that there was a yes? I mean, we started right before the winter holidays and all kinds of things going on, etc. So what spoke to you to say yes to get your voice out there?
There's a lot of things I could say right now. For one, you. I mean, I've always considered you to be one of my mentors. So for you to ask me at all was just really, really humbling. And then also just to get the word out there, because that's the same reason why I don't believe in me being the only one who's you're able to purchase readings from, even though a lot of people might look at that and say, well, aren't you, and I've had people say, well, doesn't that not make sense business wise? Because aren't you then losing money that by teaching people those abilities versus, and there's such an abundant universe that
Yes.
I could just do this every day to every person ever and just teach them. So that would be a wonderful life for me. And it has been. So upping my game is something that I'm leaping off the cliff of not thinking I can do something has been what I've been proving to myself for the last 5 years.
Yes.
And this was no different. So the initial thought was, no, I don't even know why that would even be an option, universe. And then I think I did tell you, I said yes, then I said no. Then I thought, then I was like, yes, then I thought no a couple times, but it's all about just proving to myself over and over and over that I can do bigger and better things to help the world.
Absolutely. I am so impressed with you, Steph. You've been just such an amazing in terms of a human evolving into her, highest purpose and passion. You're extraordinary. I mean, the fact that you move forward in a TEDx speaker. I mean, oh my gosh, how amazing is all of that and everything that you've done and with your business. And so I so am honored and appreciate you being being who you are, first of all, and being a part of this first book collaborative. And I'd love to know, how is it, tell us, how's the process, how was the writing process? Because I know sometimes people can be a little intimidated about the possibility of writing in the first place or getting their voice out there. So what was the actual process of writing your chapter? What was that like?
So when we first had our first meeting where we met together to see all of the different women, because of course we didn't know each other, when we did kind of like an intro and got all that information, I was in tears. Just because every single woman that spoke is just so amazing. And I think when people say that women are extraordinary, and we are, just as a species, we are, but then to hear these women, I mean, every single woman, I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, like, why am I in this group? Even though I think nice things about myself, but still, every story was just insanely amazing. Right. So, but it was really, really, it was easy to speak to everyone involved, even like Julie and everyone that was not necessarily in the book, but has to do with the publishing side. Yes. And of course I know you, so it's always easy to talk to you, but that wasn't as nerve-wracking, I guess, meeting the first time as meeting everyone else. Kind of felt like a new kid that goes to kindergarten and you're starting to meet everyone, but everyone was just so nice and supportive and just phenomenally talented that it made it easier. And yet at the same time, after hearing all those women, we got our deadline to write our first chapter by. And I knew that I had to write immediately, because if I didn't and I was to sit on my story, I was going to get cold feet and it was going to be harder to start the momentum. So that's why I I think Holly and I were the first to send our chapters in
Yes.
for the same reason. I think we were both just like, oh, just get it out of our hands. But it was amazing. After getting the words on the page and meeting everyone, it was so great.
Yeah, awesome. And that's what I understand. And it's so wonderful to talk to each of you because it's a similar, type of experience. It's like, oh my gosh, these other women are so incredible and who am I? And yet at the same time you get that feeling from each of them like, well, you absolutely belong here. You're one of the 10
Mhm.
authors. You're it, Steph. So I love that. And thank you for sharing that because that's something that I love about collaborations with women is that there can be, and in Wild and Wise community, that's kind of the standard that we set to be, there for ourselves and
Mhm.
there for each other, and having that
Absolutely.
self-love and through that, being able to care for each other. So thank you so
Mhm.
much. You've been very eloquent. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to recommend to everybody that they watch this and listen to you because that everything that you've said has been so powerful.
Well, thank
And
you.
as oh, thank you. And as we wrap up, what's the best way for people to contact you? If they say,
The
I
best
don't want to
way,
wait for the book, I want to talk to
yeah.
Stephanie right now.
Sure. The best way would be on Facebook. You can look up all my information, including there's a great phone number there as well. So if you
Awesome.
just Facebook me under either just my name, Stephanie Roman, or under Divine Intervention Readings, either one.
Fantastic. Excellent. Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining
Thank
me. This has
you.
been so fun. I love this conversation. And we will be back with Stephanie and the other authors. I feel like one of these people on TV. We'll be back in a moment with, but truly, we will be back in a moment with interviews with all 10 of the authors about your chapter. And I'm so excited to talk a little bit about that to get people really interested because as we've been going through this process, I've realized how extraordinary each of you are and what you have to offer to the world and how many women are going to be inspired as a result of you saying yes to yourselves and to this project. So my deepest gratitude, Stephanie.
Of
Thank you
course.
so
Thank
much.
you.
All right. And to everyone out there, we'll be talking soon. And remember until then that you are absolutely and completely loved. See you soon.